All right, video for 4.6 part 2. This time we're going to be talking about perpendicular lines. In the last section we were learning about parallel lines, and if you remember, parallel lines have the exact same slope. So this time when we're talking about perpendicular lines, they don't have the exact same slope. They have slopes that are opposites and reciprocals. And obviously those two words mean absolutely nothing if we don't know what they mean. So opposite means that the sign needs to change. So for example, if you have a positive number, it needs to then turn negative. And in the same sense, if you have a negative slope, it is now positive. So opposite means that the sign changes. Okay? And reciprocal is when you flip a fraction. So flip fraction. So let's look at a couple examples down here. Number one, we just need to name the slope of the line that is perpendicular. So we need to first find the slope in each one of these, and all I want you to do is write the perpendicular slope, or a perpendicular line. So in number one, our slope, obviously in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. M being the slope, so you're looking for the number in front of x. So in this equation, our slope is 2, and we need to find the slope of a line that's going to be perpendicular. So we need to take this number and do the opposite reciprocal. So that means it's going to now become negative, and when you flip it, 2 as a fraction is 2 over 1. So if I were to flip that, it turns into 1 over 2, making it opposite. All right, so the slope of a line that's perpendicular is going to be negative 1/2. Let's do another one. In number 2, this slope is negative 3/5. So once again, opposite reciprocal. What was negative now becomes positive, and you need to flip. So this is positive 3/5. When you flip it, positive 5/3. Okay. Now, number 3, we need to put this into slope-intercept form first before we can figure out what the slope is. Right now it's in standard form. So I'm going to do that right over here off to the side. This will be a little bit of a review. 3x plus 2y equals 7. When we're converting an equation into slope-intercept form, we need to solve for y. So like I told you in class, you can put a box around y if it helps, and everything else needs to move to the other side of the equation. So first we need to subtract 3x, and that is 2y equals negative 3x plus 7. Last but not least, y is still not by itself, so divide everything by 2. So your equation in slope-intercept form for this is y equals negative 3/2 x plus 7/2. So now we can find the slope of a perpendicular line. This slope is negative 3/2, so perpendicular to that is going to be positive 2/3. So opposite reciprocal. Okay. And that's how you're going to do this. So just in case you needed some steps over here to the side, I've listed them for you. Identify m, x, and y, plug them into slope-intercept form, and solve for b. Then once you have all your information, you can go ahead and write your final answer. So let's do an example, number 69. We need to write an equation for a line that goes through this point to negative 1 and is perpendicular to this equation. So let's do what we did up above. Identify the slope, which is 3. And the slope of a perpendicular line is going to be the opposite reciprocal, so we need to make it negative and then flip. So the new slope is going to be negative 1/3. Okay? And then x and y is in our ordered pair. So x is 2 and y is negative 1. So now, guys, this is just what we were doing yesterday. Okay, y equals mx plus b. Y is negative 1. M is negative 1/3, and x is 2. I'm going to write that as a fraction so that I can multiply my fractions, plus b. Okay. So now I've got negative 1 equals negative 1 times 2 is negative 2 over 3 plus b. All right, guys, we do have a fraction to deal with here. Remember what we talked about in class? Fractions need to have a common denominator when you're adding or subtracting. So we need to solve for b, and by doing that, add 2/3 to the other side. Now, -1 is a fraction. I'm going to do this part over here. -1 as a fraction is -1/1 plus 2/3. Right now, we do not have a common denominator, so I need to do that. It would be really nice if they were both 3, and I can definitely change 1 to be 3 if I multiply it by 3. So let's multiply top and bottom. This becomes -3/3 plus 2/3. And when you do that math, we get -1/3, and this is b. All right, so let's write our final equation. Y equals -1/3 x minus 1/3. Hey, look at that. All right. Let's do another one. Number 70. Let's first figure out what our slope is going to be. In our original equation here, it's -3/7. So we need to do the opposite reciprocal. Our new slope is going to be +7/3. X is in our ordered pair, -3. Y also in the ordered pair, -2. So now we have all our information to plug into our equation. Y equals mx plus b. Substitute everything in. Y is -2 equals m, which is 7/3, times x, which is -3. I'm going to write it as a fraction, plus b. All right, multiply straight across with the fractions. -2 equals 7 times -3 is -21, divided by 3 plus b. Now, a lot of you, like before, are going to go ahead and try to add this fraction. And I mean, yes, that makes sense. But this one works out nicely because we can divide -21 by 3. And that comes out to be -7 plus b. Much easier to add a whole number rather than a fraction. So +7 plus 7, and b equals 5. All right, so our new equation is y equals 7/3 x plus 5. All right, flip over, back side. I'm going to do one more with you, and then I'll leave the last 3 for you to finish. In this example, I'm going to help you find all the information, and then I want you to pause the video and try to do the rest on your own. So here we go. In this problem, or in this equation, we have -x. What number is always here in front of x that we never write? There is a coefficient here, and it is 1. So our slope is -1. And as a fraction, that's 1/1. So if we flip 1/1, it's still going to be 1/1. So all we need to worry about at this point is making it an opposite sign. So this is going to be +1 now, or 1/1 if it makes you happier to do it that way. This is x and y, so let's find this information, and now we can plug everything in. So remember, the equation for slope-intercept is y equals mx plus b. At this point, I'm going to have you pause the video and try to find your y-intercept, which is b, and then you can resume when you're done and check your work. Go. Okay, as long as you did your math correctly, you should have gotten b as 4. So now we have b and we've got m, so let's write our new equation. Y equals 1x, or just regular x, plus 4. In number 72, we have a line that goes through point 10 and is perpendicular to y equals -4. Now, this equation might look a little bit different, but remember what we talked about when we did our lesson on horizontal and vertical lines. Y equals a number. This is a horizontal line, okay? So think about it. If you have a horizontal line and you want a line that is perpendicular to this, you're going to want a vertical line, okay? And if you remember, vertical lines are x equals some number, all right? So basically, we need an equation that is x equals a number, but we need to figure out what that number is. So real quick here, slope is going to be undefined. Okay, remember vertical lines have an undefined slope. Your x is 1 and your y is 0. So our equation is going to be that this vertical line goes through x at 1. Okay, so x equals 1 is our equation for this line. Okay, I'm not going to do 73 and 74 in the video, but I am going to get you started on 74, going the opposite direction now from 72. Now we have a vertical line, so a line that looks like this, given to us, and we need to write an equation for a line that's horizontal, because they're perpendicular. So a horizontal line is going to be y equals some number. So you need to take a look at this and figure out what your equation should be for this line, okay? Slope is going to be 0. Horizontal lines have a 0 slope. X is 3, y is 0. So think about it, all right? Try this one in 73. Have a good night. See you tomorrow.